A very long time ago, in a deep, wide, and beautiful Nigerian village called Olori, the sun always shone brightly over green fields, big muddy pathways, and round mud houses with roofs made of dried grass. In this lovely village, there lived many young women who were exactly 20 years old, and they were all very beautiful, with smooth dark skin, bright smiles, and eyes that twinkled like the stars at night.
Every girl in the village was fighting, pushing each other, but only one kind girl in the whole village decided to be patient. Before we start, comment your country below and tell us where are you watching this video from.
However, even though the village was usually a very peaceful place where people farmed and sang happy songs, these young women had a very big problem because they loved to argue every single day about their hair. They spent hours and hours standing by the village stream, walking on the dusty roads, or sitting under the big shade trees just shouting at each other about who had the most wonderful, neat, and creative hairstyle in the whole land. One girl named Ifeoma would twist her hair into high loops and shout that she looked like a queen, while another girl named Chinyere would braid her hair with colorful threads and scream that she was the most beautiful girl in the world. They would call each other bad names, point their fingers angrily, and make fun of anyone whose hair did not look fancy, causing a lot of noise that made the birds fly away from the trees and made the village elders shake their heads in deep sadness. Among all these loud and angry young women, there was one very special and unique girl whose name was Mary, and she was completely different from everyone else because she possessed a heart full of gentleness and peace. Mary was incredibly beautiful, with a soft face that always looked calm, but her most amazing feature was her magnificent, tall, dark hair that grew thick and strong like a beautiful crown on top of her head. While the other 20-year-old girls spent their mornings yelling, pushing each other, and starting silly fights in the middle of the village town just to prove they were the best, Mary would simply sit quietly on a small wooden stool outside her mother's house. She would hold her chin in her hands, watching the other girls make a big mess of themselves, but she never opened her mouth to say a single mean word or to brag about her own appearance. Sometimes, the proud girls would walk past Mary and shout insults at her, telling her that she was too quiet and that her hair was not fancy enough, but Mary would only smile softly and keep looking at them with kind eyes, preferring to keep the peace instead of joining their endless, noisy arguments. As the days went by, the fighting among the girls grew worse and worse until they were no longer just shouting, but actually pulling at each other's clothes and ruining their own hairstyles out of pure anger and jealousy. Every single girl wanted to be the ultimate champion of beauty, so they would stand in the center of the market square, surrounded by baskets of yams and red peppers, yelling at the top of their lungs that they were the absolute best while the villagers tried to buy their food in peace. Mary watched all of this happen from a distance, feeling very sorry for her friends because she knew that true beauty did not come from making a lot of noise or making other people feel bad about themselves. She continued to wash her tall dark hair with clean water from the river, rubbing it gently with natural oils that made it shine like the midnight sky, all while the rest of the village town grew completely tired of the constant uproar caused by the other proud young women. The loud arguments among the 20-year-old girls grew so heavy and bitter that the entire village of Olori could no longer find any rest from the rising sun until the moon came out at night. Every single morning, instead of focusing on fetching clean water from the flowing river or helping their mothers grind cassava into smooth flour, girls like Ifeoma, Chinyere, and another proud girl named Ngozi would gather at the village center just to scream at the top of their lungs about their hair. Ngozi had woven her hair into intricate patterns that looked like the baskets used for catching fish, and she would walk around the market square pushing people out of her way while shouting that nobody in the whole world could ever match her style. Ifeoma would get so angry at Ngozi's bragging that she would drop her basket of fresh red peppers on the dusty ground, stamping her feet and yelling that her own high-looped braids were much more elegant while this and great chaos was happening day after day in the hot sun. Market women, the gentle and beautiful Mary, because the noise inside her was like the sound of 100 wild birds trapped in a small room with a broom made of palm fronds and minding her own voices of the people. Her magnificent tall dark hair was neatly combed upward, standing proud and strong without the need for any colorful threads or heavy decorations, looking like a glorious dark cloud that rested perfectly on her head. Mary's mother would often look at her daughter with a proud smile, admiring how Mary never allowed the bad behavior of the other village girls to change her sweet and peaceful nature. Sometimes, Chinyere and Ngozi would intentionally walk past Mary's house, laughing loudly and pointing their fingers through the wooden fence, while calling Mary a coward who was too afraid to show off her hair to the world. Mary heard every single mean word they said, and even though her heart felt a little bit sad for them, she never shouted back or ran to the gate to fight them. But instead, she just continued to sweep her yard and hum a beautiful quiet song. Eventually, the situation in the village town became too difficult to bear because the angry girls began to ruin the peace of the elders, who liked to sit under the big shade trees to discuss important matters about the community. The king of the village, who was a wise old man with a long white beard, called a meeting with his top chiefs because he received too many complaints about the young women destroying property and causing endless trouble over their hairstyles. One chief suggested that they should punish all the girls by making them cut off their hair, but another chief shook his head and said that would only cause more crying and sadness in the village. After thinking very deeply for a long time, the wise king clapped his hands and suggested a magnificent plan that would solve the problem once and for all without using any force or anger. He decided that the village would organize a grand hairstyle debate and exhibition competition where every young woman of 20 years old would have the chance to stand before the entire community to show her hair and explain why she believed she was the best. When the town crier beat his loud wooden drum throughout the dusty parts of Olori to announce the king's new message, the proud girls jumped up and down with immense joy and excitement. They believed this was their golden opportunity to finally shame their rivals and prove to the whole world that their specific hairstyles were superior to everyone else's. Ngozi immediately began talking about how she would make her fish basket braids even bigger, while Chinyere started bragging that she would buy the most expensive shiny beads from neighboring towns to decorate her hair. Even though Mary did not care about bragging or winning prizes, her mother gently patted her shoulder and told her that she must also participate in this competition so that the village could see what true, quiet beauty looked like. Mary looked at her mother's loving eyes and nodded her head in agreement, deciding that she would enter the competition not to fight or argue with anyone, but simply to honor her family and show her natural hair with dignity. As the days flew by like the wind, the entire village of Olori became completely filled with a frantic rush because every young woman wanted to prepare the most unbelievable hairstyle for the grand competition. The proud girls did not sleep at night, and they did not rest during the daytime because they were running around to find the rarest oils, the brightest threads, and the most expensive beads that money could buy. Ngozi spent all her family's savings to buy special shiny gold ornaments from a traveling merchant who had just arrived from a faraway kingdom, and she forced her younger sisters to sit beside her for hours to twist her hair until her scalp was tight and painful. Chinyere went into the deep forest to search for special plant roots that could stain her hair with a bright reddish color, shouting at anyone who dared to walk down the same path because she did not want anyone to steal her secret beauty ideas. Ifeoma was even more desperate, so she hired 3 of the most famous hair weavers from a neighboring village, paying them with giant baskets of dried fish and yams, just so they could build a massive structure on top of her head that looked like a bird's nest covered in glittering silver beads. Every single corner of the village town was filled with the heavy scent of burning herbs, strong-smelling animal fats, and perfume liquids that the girls were rubbing into their heads in hopes of making their hair look longer and shinier than everyone else's. While they were doing all these stressful things, they never stopped mocking one another, and whenever they crossed paths on the narrow dirt roads, they would hiss loudly, stick out their tongues, and wave their hands in the air to show off their ongoing preparations. They were so busy boasting about how they were going to look like glorious goddesses on the stage that they completely forgot to do their daily chores, leaving their houses dirty and their cooking fires completely cold. Their mothers and fathers began to feel very tired of the total madness, but the girls were too blinded by their deep pride and their desperate desire to win the king's ultimate approval to care about anything else happening around them. In total contrast to all this crazy behavior, the beautiful and unique Mary remained a picture of absolute calmness and peace inside her family's neat little compound. She did not run to the market to buy expensive foreign ornaments. She did not go into the forest to hunt for strange dyes, and she certainly did not waste her family's hard-earned money on hiring fancy weavers from other towns. Instead, Mary woke up early every morning with a cheerful smile on her face, sweeping the floor, washing the cooking pots, and helping her mother prepare delicious bowls of pounded yam and egusi soup. When her daily work was completely finished, Mary would walk gracefully down to the clean village stream, carrying a clay pot on her head, while balancing herself perfectly, without even using her hands. She would sit quietly by the cool water, using her bare fingers to gently wash her tall dark hair with local black soap made from plantain skins, rinsing it until it was completely fresh and clean. After washing her hair, Mary would sit under the warm shade of a mango tree in her backyard, applying a small amount of pure, natural shea butter that her grandmother had made for her, which made her dark hair incredibly soft and deeply nourished. She used a simple wooden comb to stretch her hair upward, admiring how it stood beautifully towards the sky, like a powerful, healthy tree growing out of fertile soil. When the other girls saw Mary sitting so peacefully, without any stress or fancy decorations, they would walk past her fence and laugh mockingly, telling her that she looked too simple and that she was definitely going to face total embarrassment on the day of the big competition. Mary just looked at them with her gentle, sparkling eyes and smiled softly, because she knew in her heart that her hair did not need heavy gold or expensive threads to show its true value, and she felt completely satisfied with the natural crown that God had given to her. The morning of the highly anticipated competition arrived with a beautiful, bright golden sunrise that spread its warm light across the entire expanse of Olori village, bringing with it an atmosphere that was filled with immense tension and excitement. Long before the town crier could even strike his heavy wooden drum to signal the start of the gathering, the dusty pathways of the village town were already bustling with hundreds of excited people who were rushing toward the central square. Men, women, elders, and little children from every corner of the community carried their own wooden stools and woven mats, hurrying to secure the very best spots under the gigantic shade of the ancient baobab tree, where the great event was scheduled to take place. The village square had been decorated beautifully with colorful woven cloths, fresh palm fronds, and beautifully carved wooden chairs placed at the front for the wise king and his high chiefs, who would serve as the official judges for this historic event. Everyone was talking at the same time, creating a massive, roaring sound that echoed through the trees as the villagers debated among themselves about which of the 20-year-old girls would emerge as the ultimate champion of beauty. Suddenly, a loud blast from a traditional horn silenced the entire crowd as the proud young women began to march into the center of the square, one after the other, causing everyone to gasp loudly at the sheer sight of their incredibly complex and dramatic appearances. First came Ngozi, who walked with her head held so high that she could barely see the ground in front of her feet, showing off her massive fish basket braids that were completely covered in the shiny gold ornaments she had bought from the traveling merchant. Right behind her was Chinyere, whose hair had been stained a bright, fiery reddish color that glowed intensely under the hot morning sun, decorated with hundreds of tiny, jingling beads that made a loud clicking sound with every single step she took. Then came Ifeoma, who looked almost trapped beneath the gigantic bird's nest structure on her head, which was so heavily laden with glittering silver beads that she had to balance herself carefully to keep from falling over onto the dusty ground. The proud girls began to strut around the perimeter of the square, casting arrogant looks at the audience and pointing their fingers at one another as they loudly proclaimed to the judges that they were the absolute best in the land, while the other young women were busy making a spectacular, noisy show of themselves in front of the cheering crowd. The gentle and beautiful Mary walked into the village square with quiet grace, causing a sudden, curious hush to fall over many of the onlookers.
This teaches us that being patient is very important. Please, hold on. Don't just move. First share, like, and comment.
Mary did not wear any expensive foreign ornaments. She did not have any bright red dyes in her hair, and she did not have any heavy silver beads weighing down her neck or shoulders. Instead, she wore a simple, beautifully clean traditional wrapper tied neatly around her waist, and her magnificent, unique, tall dark hair was combed perfectly upward toward the blue sky, looking completely natural, healthy, and incredibly rich. The natural shea butter she had used made her thick black hair gleam beautifully under the morning sun, standing proud like a majestic fortress of strength and purity without needing any artificial decorations to hold it up. When Ngozi, Chinyere, and Ifeoma saw Mary standing there so simply, they burst into loud, mocking laughter, whispering to each other that Mary was foolish to come to such a grand competition looking so plain and ordinary. The wise king, dressed in his royal robes, raised his beaded staff to signal that it was finally time for the debate section of the competition to begin, forcing each girl to step forward to defend her style. Ngozi stepped up first, shouting at the top of her lungs that her golden fish basket braids represented the immense wealth of the village, and that anyone who did not vote for her was completely blind to true royalty. Chinyere then pushed her way to the front, arguing fiercely that her reddish hair was a symbol of fire and passion that could never be matched by anyone else, while Ifeoma screamed that her silver bird's nest took weeks of hard labor and was the most creative masterpiece ever seen in Olori. The girls began to argue right there on the stage, their voices rising in anger as they insulted one another's hair, causing a great deal of confusion among the chiefs who were trying to listen. All the while, Mary stood completely still at the back of the stage, her arms folded gently across her chest as she watched the chaotic display with peaceful eyes, waiting patiently for her turn to speak. The shouting match among the proud girls grew so loud and chaotic that the wise king had to wave his royal beaded staff 3 times to bring order back to the village square, silencing the noisy arguments that filled the hot morning air. When the commotion finally died down, the head chief pointed his carved wooden staff directly toward the back of the stage and called out the name of Mary, inviting her to step forward and speak to the community. A sudden stillness washed over the entire audience as Mary took her first graceful steps toward the center of the exhibition ground, her movements so smooth that she looked like a gentle stream flowing through a quiet forest. Unlike the other 20-year-old girls who had stomped their feet, shaken their hips, and thrown their arms wildly in the air to demand attention, Mary kept her hands folded politely in front of her wrapper, bowing her head slightly as a sign of deep respect to the king, the elderly chiefs, and every villager sitting under the baobab tree. As she stood before the large crowd, the absolute magnificence of her unique, tall dark hair became completely clear to every single person watching, causing many of the elders to lean forward in total amazement. Her hair was completely free from heavy metal ornaments, artificial threads, or strange forest dyes, yet it stood perfectly upright, thick and strong, gleaming with a deep, healthy black luster that seemed to absorb and reflect the golden sunlight all at once. Mary opened her mouth to speak, and instead of screaming or boasting about her appearance, her voice came out like a sweet, soft melody that easily reached the ears of everyone in the square, even the little children sitting at the very back. She told the judges that she did not enter the competition to say that she was better than anyone else, nor did she wish to look down on her friends, because she believed that every young woman in Olori village possessed her own special kind of beauty. She explained that her tall, dark hair was simply a gift from nature that she cared for with love, patience, and clean water, and that true beauty was not something you had to fight for or shout about, but something that lived quietly inside a peaceful heart. The simplicity, wisdom, and profound humility of Mary's short speech struck the hearts of the villagers like a powerful wave, and for a few moments, the entire square remained completely silent as people processed her beautiful words. Then, all at once, an elderly woman at the front stood up and began to clap her hands loudly, shouting Mary's name. With the immense crowd erupted, they were deeply touched by her peaceful spirit, roaring cheer, and completely captivated by the pure of the great natural majesty of her stunning hair. Villagers jumped to their feet. The wise king smiled broadly behind his white beard, turning his head to whisper to his chiefs, who were all nodding their heads in enthusiastic agreement as they looked at the gentle girl standing calmly on the stage. It was completely obvious to everyone, including the market women and the village elders, that Mary's quiet dignity was far superior to all the noise and expensive decorations of her rivals. After a brief consultation with his council, the king stood up from his royal carved chair, holding a beautiful, glittering golden medal that caught the bright rays of the afternoon sun, signaling that the final judgment had been made. He announced to the entire gathering that while the other girls had focused on making the most noise and buying the most expensive items, Mary had shown the true character of an Olori woman through her humility, her kindness, and her breathtaking natural hair. The crowd cheered even louder as the king stepped forward and carefully placed the heavy golden medal around Mary's neck, declaring her the official winner of the grand competition and the honor of the best hairstyle in the entire village town. Ngozi, Chinyere, and Ifeoma stood at the side of the stage with their mouths wide open in total shock and disbelief, their heavy, complicated hairstyles suddenly looking messy and foolish compared to the glorious, simple crown of the triumphant Mary. As soon as the heavy golden medal was securely placed around Mary's neck, the entire village square transformed into a giant arena of singing, dancing, and overwhelming celebration that Olori had never seen before in all its long history. Women began to beat their hollow wooden drums with great joy, while the young boys blew through their animal horns, creating a beautiful and lively rhythm that made everyone want to stomp their feet on the warm, dusty ground. The village elders walked up to Mary, one by one, raising their hands to offer powerful blessings of long life and prosperity, praising her mother for raising such a well-behaved, sensible, and respectful daughter. Mary stood in the middle of this happy crowd, her eyes shining with tears of gratitude, but she still remained completely humble, thanking everyone with a soft smile, while her magnificent tall dark hair stood proudly against the bright blue sky. The golden medal, resting on her chest, reflected the bright afternoon sun, casting beautiful, sparkling rays of light all around her as she prepared to make her triumphant journey back to her family home. A large group of excited villagers quickly formed a grand parade around Mary, eager to escort her through the main pathways of the village town, so that those who had stayed home could witness the wonderful girl who had won the king's ultimate prize. As Mary began to walk gracefully down the main road, her body moving with the smooth rhythm of an elegant queen, people ran out from their mud houses, their farming sheds, and their cooking huts just to catch a glimpse of her. Mothers holding small babies climbed on top of wooden logs, and little children abandoned their games of hide and seek to run alongside the parade, laughing and shouting Mary's name with pure happiness. Every single eye in the entire town was completely fixed on Mary as she moved through the streets, and everyone marveled at how her beautiful black hair looked so perfectly neat, strong, and glorious, without a single piece of artificial thread or expensive gold ornament attached to it. The entire village seemed to come alive with a new kind of energy, an energy that celebrated true peace, natural beauty, and the quiet dignity that Mary had shown to the community throughout her entire life. While the grand parade was moving joyfully through the village town, the proud girls who had lost the competition walked slowly behind the crowd, feeling a heavy mix of deep shame, embarrassment, and quiet reflection in their hearts. Ngozi looked down at her heavy fish basket braids, which were now looking dusty and messy, and she felt the painful weight of the expensive gold ornaments that had failed to bring her the victory she had bragged about for weeks. Chinyere tried to hide her face behind her hands, because her bright reddish hair now looked ridiculous and strange under the clear afternoon light, and the jingling beads that had once made her feel proud now sounded like a noisy annoyance with every step she took. Ifeoma could barely hold her head up, because the massive bird's nest structure on her head was giving her a terrible neck ache, making her realize that all her desperate efforts to look bigger and better than everyone else had only brought her discomfort and public failure. For the very first time in their lives, These loud and argumentative young women were completely quiet, forced to watch the girl they had mocked and laughed at being celebrated as the truest beauty in the entire land. As Mary reached the center of the market square, she gently stopped the musicians from playing and turned around to look at Ngozi, Chinyere, and Ifeoma, who were standing at the edge of the crowd with their heads bowed in deep sadness. Instead of walking past them with an arrogant smile or using her new golden medal to mock them the way they had mocked her, Mary walked over to them with open arms and a heart full of forgiveness. She took Ifeoma's trembling hands into her own, looking into the eyes of all three girls with pure kindness, and told them that they did not need to feel sad or ashamed because the competition was now over and they were still sisters of the same village. The crowd gasped softly at Mary's unbelievable kindness, and as the proud girls looked at Mary's peaceful face and her glorious, natural, tall, dark hair, their hearts melted completely, and they realized that inner goodness was the most beautiful hairstyle anyone could ever wear. The wonderful act of kindness and forgiveness that Mary showed in the middle of the market square completely transformed the hearts of the proud girls, wiping away every single bit of jealousy, anger, and bitterness that had caused so much trouble in Olori village for such a long time. Tears began to roll down the dusty cheeks of Ngozi, Chinyere, and Ifeoma as they threw their arms around Mary, crying softly and begging her to forgive them for all the mean words they had shouted and all the mocking games they had played outside her compound fence. Mary held them tightly in a warm, loving embrace, whispering sweet words of comfort into their ears and telling them that the past was completely gone and that a beautiful new day had arrived for all of them to live as true friends. The villagers who were standing around them began to clap their hands softly, and many of the mothers wept with pure joy because they never believed they would see the day when this loud 20-year-old girl would stop fighting and embrace each other with genuine love and sisterhood. As the sun began to set behind the heavy green hills of the village, painting the sky with beautiful shades of deep orange, purple, and gold, the grand parade finally came to an end outside Mary's family house. Mary's mother was standing by the wooden gate, her face glowing with absolute pride and happiness as she welcomed her wonderful daughter home, stretching out her arms to receive the beautiful girl who had brought so much honor to their family name. That night, Mary's mother prepared a massive feast of delicious pounded yam, rich egusi soup, and sweet palm wine, inviting Ngozi, Chinyere, Ifeoma, and their families to sit down together under the bright moonlight to eat, laugh, and share stories. As they sat on the woven mats, Ngozi carefully reached up and began to remove the heavy gold ornaments from her hair. Chinyere smiled gently without shaking her noisy beads, and Ifeoma asked her mother to help her untie the massive bird's nest structure so that her head could finally feel light, free, and completely natural. In the weeks and months that followed the grand competition, a beautiful and lasting peace settled over the entire village town of Olori, making it the most pleasant and harmonious place to live in the whole kingdom. The young women of 20 years old never argued by the flowing river anymore, they never dropped their baskets of peppers in anger, and they never shouted at each other in the middle of the busy market square about who had the best haircut style. Instead, whenever they gathered by the cool waters of the stream to wash their hair, they would help each other comb out the tangles, share their local black soap and natural shea butter, and speak words of encouragement and praise to one another. They learned to admire their own unique features while deeply respecting the beauty of their neighbors, realizing that true elegance did not come from expensive foreign decorations or from making the loudest noise, but from a clean heart and a peaceful mind. Mary continued to live her life with the exact same quiet grace and deep humility that she had always possessed, never allowing the heavy golden medal that sat safely inside her room to make her proud or arrogant toward anyone. She remained the most beloved girl in the entire village, and whenever she walked down the dusty pathways with her magnificent, unique, tall, dark hair standing proudly against the sky, the people would look at her with deep respect and call her the true Queen of Olori. Parents will always tell the story of the great hairstyle competition to their young children as they sat around the evening cooking fires, teaching them the valuable lesson that humility, kindness, and natural beauty will always win over pride, vanity, and noise. And so, the village of Olori remained completely peaceful.
I think the story was very interesting. Please, this is J African Tales. Don't forget share, like, subscribe for more information. Thank you.